Folks, welcome back to another Painting Minis with Dan and Sam. We've got a pretty cool episode set up for you today. Dan is going to be finishing out the Trauma Team A pack by painting the prepaid pickup mini. Now, this mini is not like the other ones that we've painted so far because in Combat Zone, it's not going to have its own card. So that's why I'm showing you this thing right here. It's actually going to be like a waypoint or a pickup point for the trauma team to actually reach, because it's just a wounded patient that's waiting to be picked up. So there's no card, but I'll be painting the last figure from the Lawman A pack, and that's going to be the Riot Trooper 1, or the Tactical Response Officer, which is what the card's going to be in Combat Zone. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get down to the table, and let's get painting.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Dan from Monster Fight Club. Today I'm going to be finishing up the Trauma Team A set with the prepaid contract pickup. So it's a great objective model. She's down on a gurney, definitely injured, and the trauma team has come to pick her up and get her to safety, or basically just harvest the parts that they've paid for. So we're going to start off with her skin, going with Cadian Flesh Tone, my go-to skin color. Now I try to do this as thin as possible, especially on the legs, because if you can see in the detail, she's actually wearing like a mesh net on her legs, so I wanted to not lose any of those details by clumping it up with some thick color. So definitely make sure you thin down your paints before putting them on there. Now we're going to do a lot of contrast paints. The first one I went with is Croxagora Scales. It's a new one from GW, and I really like it here because it gives you that nice, vibrant blue. I'm liking these neon-like colors that you can get with contrasts. So I'd cover over the clothing, and then we switch to another contrast, which is Snakebite Leather. Perfect for leather boots, leather coats, and things like that. Wanted to give this character a lot of personality. The bright blues, but she's still wearing cowboy boots and everything. Switching to Lead Belcher, my go-to metal. This is for the gurney itself. A couple of the metallic pieces are scattered out through the model itself. And you can see that this character is really coming to life. Her bionic arm is next to her. It's not actually attached. Then we're going to go to Magma Droth, another contrast paint here. This is perfect for her hair. Just giving her a lot of color as much as possible to really contrast the different layers that you see on this model. Use Ulthuan Grey for the white tarp that she's kind of semi-wrapped up in, and then Mephiston Red here for this little IV blood pack that she's got going right up into her severed arm joint right at the shoulder blade. So I painted the glove here on this, but I do actually change it up in off screen here. Just wanted to have it stand out a little bit. I did just a simple gray over that to really bring it to life. Now we're switching over to some Retributor Gold. And this, again, just to bring in a little extra detail and color, put some on the bionic arm, onto the IV pack, a couple places here and there, just to give you a nice little pop of gold. Switching to Teclis Blue, just to highlight the blue coat here, give it a little extra depth, a little extra detail, bring that clothing out into life. Switching to Mephiston Red, this is for the sides of the gurney. I wanted to make this look like a medical evacuation thing as much as possible, so I gave it the pop of red, a little bit on the bag. Then I cover the bag with Basilicanum Gray. Wanted to try and darken it down so it stands up against the white tarp and of course her clothes, but I made it a little bit too dark. So I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade, thin down again because I want these colors to still pop and I still want this shade to get into the recesses. You can see I cover almost the entire model, everything but that white tarp, because I wanted that to be as clean as possible. But a nice even spread. Again, anything pooled up there, just kind of use a clean brush to soak it up, and then get rid of the excess and spread it around as much as possible. But you can see the model's really coming together. It's really coming to life. And now I switch over to Administratum Gray to start bringing up these colors after that wash is dried. This is for the pack between her legs, and then back to Mephiston Red to brighten up that IV cord with the blood transfusion going through, the little symbol. Using Wild Rider Red, it's a nice little pop of red step up from Mephiston Red. And sorry for the camera angle here, but back to Cadian Flesh Tone, touching the elevated parts, leaving the recesses, and I also didn't repaint the legs because again, I wanted to have a different shade from her exposed skin to show that she's actually wearing, leggings and everything. Troll Slayer Orange across the hair to give it a little bit more of a pop of color against the blue, and there you have it, the prepaid contract being picked up by the Trauma Team. Hope that this was helpful, and tune in next time.
Hey folks, welcome back. This is Sam, and we have here the Riot Trooper 1, or the Tactical Response Officer. As you can tell already, this mold isn't that different, has a whole lot of similarities to the other two molds that we've done, but that Riot shield is in the way there, so we'll have to deal with that. Starting off with some ultramarine blue, as usual, for the pants, and we're just trying to get a nice even coat in underneath all of those other elements of his pants, and then of course trying to hit the arms of his shirt as well, so that those stick out. It's going on light, so we'll have to do a couple coats off camera. Continuing on with the matte black on his leg armor, and as we said last time, you can really kind of tell how easy these models would be if you're speed painting them. You do the legs on one, then you do the legs on the other, then you do the legs on the third, then you come back and you do the flak jacket on the first, and then the flak jacket on. And speed painting is really a cool way to get a lot of painting done in a fast time frame, because when you're done with one, you set it down, you go to the others. When you come back to the first one, it's already dry for you and it's ready to go. So speed painting can be a really cool thing, so look into that. Doing this black all over the place because there's a lot of metal on this model. From my perspective, from my point of view, maybe you would choose to do it differently, and that would be fine. Using an ash gray for the base coat of the Riot shield, and it's going to be mainly a metallic shield. And as I was doing it, I was like, man, this thing has got to be heavy. But you know, it's Cyberpunk. Maybe it's a lighter metal, or maybe he's enhanced to be able to carry a heavier shield. I don't know. Let your imagination go wild. Just touching up the white here a little bit, where I was a little messy on the other colors. Now I'm moving on to a gunmetal for the pistol that he has drawn, and we'll use that same gunmetal as the dry brush for the leg armor. But first, we're going to do some of those buckles and those kinds of things that are on those straps on his legs and on his belt, and the things hanging from his belt, the handcuffs, and all that kind of stuff too. But we'll use a different brush. This is a dry brush, and this is a technique that we use. You're pretty much just dipping the brush in the paint and then wiping most of it off, and then you come back and just kind of feather the model as much as you can, so that it just touches the higher recesses and leaves that darker undercoat for a lot of shadowing effect. Used it on his armor too, but only a little bit. I came back with some Shrieker Gray here to give that kind of a brown pouch look to those other things. Now I'm using a soft tone for the entire model, put it all over, because it pretty much just draws everything together, fills in some of those cracks that may be outstanding, and provides a good overall look to the model after it dries, of course. Using a hair dryer works well, especially on a cold setting, to get that ink to dry a little bit faster. Now I'm coming back with the ultramarine blue, touching up those blue areas a little bit more after using the soft tone on them, so that that blue police officer color really pops. Doing the same thing with the matte white, not catching all of the surfaces though, leaving some of that dark soft tone there in the recesses to provide character for those armor plates. And now I'm taking that same gunmetal and using it on the shield as well. And then I'm using that matte white for the police word there on the front. And here you just have to kind of take your time. Now I'm using a shining silver on all of the highlights for the shield, just to give it a little bit of pop where the light might be glinting off of that metal. Using that same shining silver for some of the highlights of the model around his leg armor. Maybe there's a little patch of duct tape there on his leg where he had to do a little bit of field triage for his outfit there. Now went back to some ash gray for some of those other parts, and then finally on the top coat of the blue is a crystal blue, just to give it a little bit more of a blue pop. And there you have it. Did the same thing with the ultramarine and crystal blue on his visor there, but this guy's ready to go and ready to stomp some bad guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, that just about does it for another episode of Painting Minis with Dan and Sam. We want to thank you guys and gals so much for joining us. We appreciate, certainly, sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to spend a few minutes here with us on a semi-weekly basis. We want to Thank you for that. We do appreciate it. Now, I do want to also bring attention to our Metropolis Cityscape terrain. We have 4 brand new bundles that are available on our website right now. This is great HDF UV printed stuff. This is not chintzy cardboard or cardstock or anything like that. It's durable, it's quality, and you're going to love it. So go check it out on our website. It's there and ready for you to take a look-see. That's it for us today, though. I want to thank you again for joining us. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Have fun gaming. Take care.